was just the right level of atmospheric quality, mystery around this kind of alien apocalyptic cold tones of the color scheme, muted color palette, and feeling of almost sterility, and that interaction between the veiled figure as a representation of doom, of what's to come, of the uncontrollable. Almost this idea of like a mythological god like figure controlling our lives, and how to find that surrender to the chaos.
This one did a great job at scale. I feel like that's the first the first word that pops into my head when I watch this, because it does a great job at sort of jumping in between these like massive sweeping landscape shots that uh like make the world feel giant, while also having these like close up, like very intimate shots, like shots of a person's eye that kind of tie everything together. And I think that the filmmakers did a great job at sort of balancing the two and keeping everything feeling very you know kinetic and interesting.
It was edgy and futuristic. The concept was so cool, and that juxtaposition between the two characters in their respective settings was very well done. The editing was great. It was all so seamless. The blocks and the skyscrapers, for example, the way it all just flowed together, I thought that was just amazing. They did a really good job of maintaining a connection and continuity between the two worlds. And I actually wish this had been longer. I couldn't get enough of this piece.
For me, Glass Ship had a lot of cinematic parallels. I saw echoes of The Matrix, Arrival, Fight Club, all kind of imbued into the aesthetic and the look and everything surrounding the piece itself. It also, and I think in relation to those references, has a kind of video game feel to it almost. It's interactive, as if we're a part of the environment that we're watching get explored on screen. All this allows for a very immersive experience, needless to say.
The song fit so nicely. Everything was just perfectly aligned with the music and the images, and it just drew you in to this whole thing, including the special effects. The special effects that they did within the entire music video were so seamless that you felt like you were a part of this.
It took us to a very intriguing, surreal scenario where we have this figure hooded by lace, seemingly in control of the solidity and structure of the city, and another individual going out into that setting, seemingly aware of its fragility. And I think that the fear and uncertainty that awareness can inspire is a very relevant problem for us to consider as members of cities and our society, and how, even though this took place in an almost apocalyptic or otherworldly looking future, it is incredibly relevant in the sense that our own structures do have that same fragility, and we often don't think about that as we move through our spaces.
Like the way the montage, the editing that you use, like the idea of like using the juxtaposition of images to create a meaning for the audience that the audience can like pull without saying anything. Like the idea of like cutting from like the pan of the like blocks to cutting the buildings, and we immediately get it. Like that, I really think that was cool. And I really want to shout out the editing, specifically like the editing craft of just where you put the cuts and how you did all of that, and the pacing and the rhythm, and then also the graphics, the CG that y'all did, like with the pavement and like it moving like water. That was really cool. I really want to shout out the editing specifically. Overall, it was also really good, really well acted, really well directed. The music was great, but I really want to shout out the post-production department because they really shined here.